Who has heard of sonic branding, especially lately? Show of hands. Not many? Okay, interesting. So we'll look and see if you recognize some things as we go along here. To begin with then, as a broad definition, so sonic branding is really about distilling brand values into audio assets, much like visual branding is doing the same with things like graphics and your visual logo. And so you can think of things like audio logos. So if you think about Nationwide Insurance's jingle or Liberty Mutual's jingle, that's sonic branding. Now, taking that a step further, doesn't always stop with the jingle. So you might have things that begin shows like an HBO, and then you might have sounds like think about the ringtone on your cell phone, right? So these assets can be small, they can be large, but more specifically in Alexa skills, they can find their way in as sounds we call earcons. So earcons are actually just kind of a pun on icons because it's an icon to your ear. And so to look into, real quick, let's hop over here actually. Let's look at how earcons can fit into a voice experience to add a certain amount of, appropriate friction to give users confirmation, but then also to reduce friction in making the experience actually feel faster and more fluid.
Alexa, open my banking skill.
Welcome to your bank. What's your 4-digit personal key?
1, 2, 3, 4.
How can I help?
Pay my credit card bill.
Your statement balance is $100. Are you ready to pay?
Confirm.
All set. I've made that payment for you. How else can I help you?
Log me out.
Goodbye.
So looking through the design principles of something like this, you'll notice these sounds happen at certain key moments to give users confirmation that things are happening. And so without them, an Alexa skill is almost like plain text HTML. Imagine just a script without visuals or language. So sound really helps to increase user perception and positive perception as well. The art of skeuomorphism is an interesting factor that's mixed in here, right? So when you throw something away on your Mac, the trash can, it's skeuomorphic both in visuals and sound. It looks like you'd expect it to look like. It looks like a paper basket. And it sounds like you'd expect if you were to throw something in just a metal basket, right? So what we did here for these design principles is adding in skeuomorphic sounds of locks or vaults or things you'd come to expect and associate with sounds in your, physical banking life as much as you would in a digital life, right? And so in an interesting case of what Venmo does, has anyone ever heard their Venmo notification sound when someone pays them, right? Ka-ching, right? It's a great moment, and that's such a literal skeuomorphic moment where you're hearing the sound of a cash register, right? Now, I think one step further, it would be hard to get any kind of implication then of, okay, did I receive a payment or is one going out, right? And so in this case, what we did is we have these padlock sounds, but there's upward gestures, so the melody is going up versus down when you enter or exit the skill, or when you've confirmed your PIN or you've logged out. We found this helps users know that they're giving their financial institution their information as opposed to just Alexa. I think sound is a way to help know that they're in that interface, much like you would by seeing brand colors or something when you're looking at a visual app experience. So I'll hop back real quick to some certain statistics here. Based on our findings this is more particular to smart speakers, but we found positive increasing from generic sounds like you'd hear just a basic beep or something turning off a Bluetooth headset or a smart speaker versus what you'd hear with sounds like I showed you. More branded, more positive feeling, more emotional by using real instruments that people are used to. And so all across the board, we see that more people would prefer to own those experiences too. So think about that when you're developing skills that people actually will have an affinity to the experience with better sound. So now, for those that hadn't heard of, sonic branding, especially in the voice space, might recognize some of these brands over here have been active in this space lately. So I thought it'd be fun to actually give you a quick live quiz and to see if anyone recognizes this.
Right. Let's see if you can name that tone. Which financial brand uses this payment success sound? Is it A, MasterCard, B, Visa, or C, Discover?
No, they all happen to say A, which is confusing. But, so by a show of hands, I'll just go through each one. And so who thinks it's MasterCard? Who thinks it's Visa? Couple. Who thinks it's Discover? Okay, a couple. So it's actually Visa. Discover doesn't have a sound yet. MasterCard does. And with MasterCard, the CMO and CCO, actually, Raja Manar, has really made waves, I think, for sonic branding, especially in the financial space. So, quick Google will show you things like brand awareness has increased by 25% since their multi-sensory branding kicked off. For Visa, their positive perception has increased by 14%. Now, again, these are inclusive to other rebranding elements. MasterCard has obviously dropped their, at least the name from their visual logo, so there's a bunch of other changes involved in this. However, it's quite a high number. Visa, for their actual internal testing, they were finding results that between 81 and 83% of people found that having sound at this kind of point of purchase would, increase their affinity towards the brand, things like trust and brand awareness. So it's really an important tool to use in these kind of things.
All right.
So now speaking more again in terms of audio user experience design. So like I mentioned before, sonic branding can be thought of as something quite simple like you might hear on TV, but I think what we do differently at Audio UX is we really focus on where the user is in this experience, right? And so while many people here today are working on making these experiences actually safer, a lot of the work we're doing helps people feel safer when they're doing it. And we find that at least the financial institutions, organizations that have been approaching us, I think value that sense of comfort and see it as a positive in terms of adoption and things like that. And so that's it for now. Just keep it short. If there's any questions, otherwise we can wrap up.